Hi, Weirdos. It's Thursday. My name is Sarah, and I am joined, as always, by...
I'm Chris.
And I'm Mackenzie.
And this podcast is for Weirdos. Yes, that's me.
What are we talking about today?
So remember how my last topic
You
that
threw
I
the,
did
the science at us?
was really science-y?
Yeah.
It's happening again.
Whoa.
Not like space science, though. This is brain science. We're talking about the Uncanny Valley, Pareidolia, and kind of how those things relate to the paranormal. So we're going to talk about the sciencey stuff, and then we're going to talk about, like, ghosty stuff.
Okay.
Because mostly this has to do with ghosts. A little bit of the Uncanny Valley has to do with, like, aliens and such. And kind of cryptids.
Yeah.
But I'm mostly focusing on it in, like, a
ghost.
how does this relate to ghost stuff? So, what do you know about both of those two things, the Uncanny Valley and Pareidolia?
So I know Uncanny Valley is like the like kind of innate fear of like that's a human, but a little bit wrong.
Okay.
And that is very scary.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's one of the reasons that like the Fresno Nightcrawlers freak me out. And I go,
That's fair.
I don't like the way that moves. It's almost human, but very wrong.
Yeah.
I know these topics as very broad stroke
Yeah.
like things. It's very common in paranormal discussions to just kind of loosely use the terms like Uncanny Valley or Pareidolia and often not define them and make the assumption that everybody understands
What
that concept is.
Which is why we're here.
Which is why we're here. But I don't think I could tell you much beyond very broad strokes what those concepts really are.
Gotcha.
I know what they mean in terms of encountering them when we're doing like investigations or very specific evidence looking at. And I think especially with things like Uncanny Valley, people often are like they'll overgeneralize what that actually is and throw it onto things that it doesn't necessarily meet the actual definition of like what that concept is.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of people are like, oh, well, that's just Uncanny Valley. And it's not necessarily the case. And it's just being thrown onto something they're not, that they don't want to, that makes them uncomfortable and that they don't understand.
Right.
So that's, in broad strokes, I know not. That's really the gist of what I was saying is I don't know very much about this.
You know it in like the specific context of
Ghost,
which is fair because we are going to talk about that at the end. But I want to talk about like the psychological phenomenon of both of these things before we talk about it in relation to ghosts, because I feel like it's important to kind of understand what's happening in your brain and why you're experiencing this thing. And I actually learned a lot about the Uncanny Valley doing this research. The Pareidolia stuff I knew already.
Yeah.
I actually did learn a little bit about how scientists are using it, but the stuff of like what it is and why it happens I knew already.
Are you going to give us the definition for specifically Pareidolia?
Yeah.
Pareidolia?
It's Pareidolia, technically.
Pareidolia.
Yes.
Understood.
I will give you... I'm going to do Uncanny Valley first, and then we'll do Pareidolia, and then we're going to talk about both of them in relation to the thing.
Perfect. Because I was like, we just said it several times and haven't given a definition yet.
Yeah, don't worry. You'll get a definition, but it's going to come in a minute because I'm going to do the Uncanny Valley first. So the Uncanny Valley is the one that I learned more about, so we're going to talk about it first because I feel like I actually have more information about it than I do about Pareidolia. So the Uncanny Valley is a hypothesized psychological and aesthetic relation between an object's degree of resemblance to a human being and the emotional response to the object.
Okay.
So that's a very complicated way to say this. But basically it predicts that an entity appearing almost human will risk eliciting eerie feelings in the viewers. Examples exist amongst a bunch of different stuff, and we're going to talk about examples kind of at the end of this section. But it's actually came about from the field of robotics. Is like where we got this concept.
It's the almost human,
Yeah.
an animatronic.
Like it's a fucked up human.
Yeah, like when we first observed this happening was in robotics.
Interesting.
So there is a Japanese scientist who I unfortunately only have the like surname for. I don't have a first name. The article that I was looking at was just like one naming this person, and I was like, I could not find the full name, but this is the person who came up with the hypothesis of the Uncanny Valley.
Got it.
So their name is Mori. Mori's original hypothesis states that as the appearance of a robot is made more human, some observers' emotional response to the robot become increasingly positive and empathetic until it becomes almost human, at which point the response quickly becomes strong revulsion. So it's like if you put a little like 2 eyes and a little smiley face on a robot, people are like, "Oh, it's so cute."
It's like
and then you make it look like a person, and people are like, "Ah."
It's like the cute little drinks robot at the Kura.
Yes.
And we're like, oh my god, look at the cute little
Look,
robot
cute
bringing
little
us
robot.
drinks.
Holding it. It's got a tray. I mean, it is a tray. It's not holding anything.
It's a tray.
It just is.
It's
The robot is a tray.
It's a robotic rolling serving tray.
But it's got a little smiley face on it,
and it
it's like
sings
he's so
to
cute.
you.
It looks like a little guy.
And then
but if that looked like a person,
I would be out.
Because like, have y'all seen that? Like, there's a handful of like robots that they've put like skin on,
and that's what this is specifically in reference to.
and it's horrible.
yeah. So it's called
Ucky.
the Valley. Because when plotted on a graph,
It goes,
your emotional response goes up and then goes and then goes back up. Like if a robot looks like Data from Star Trek does not elicit the Uncanny Valley because while he is an android, he's being played by Brent Spiner. Like he's just a guy.
That's a guy.
He's a guy with like gray skin and yellow contacts. Like he is a person. And in the show, it is frequent that it takes people a couple of interactions with him to be like, "You're not human, are you?" And then he's like, "No, I'm an android." And it's like, "Oh, you're that Data." So like he doesn't elicit this response because he looks purely like a human because he's being played by a human man.
Right.
Other robots that are robots, the closer they get to human before looking truly human, there's always something a little bit off, and it's like, yuck, I don't like this.
Icky.
So, and a lot of times, this specific reaction in like for robots doesn't come from necessarily like what they look like. It comes from how they move.
Yeah.
Because we've gotten pretty good at like putting a human skin on a robot face and that looking like a person, but it not moving correctly, which is worse, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't.
So, there are some different theories for why this happens in our brain. So we're going to talk about a bunch of different ones.
Got it.
No one can fully agree about why it is. Some people suggest that it's a biological phenomenon. Some suggest that it's evolutionary. Others say that it's a cultural thing.
Huh.
So there's no true answer. I will say the thing that I learned most recently about this, I had seen online a bunch of people being like, "Oh, it's this like evolutionary thing that at some point there was a reason for us to be scared of something that looked human and wasn't."
Yeah.
And it was like an explanation for why we are the version of hominid that is the only one that's left around. And it's like, oh, at some point we were having to like outcompete Homo
different
neanderthalis and all these other things for resources. There's no actual evidence to suggest that.
Oh.
Like we don't have biological anthropological evidence showing that that's true. That doesn't mean that it isn't, right?
Right.
It just means we don't yet have evidence to show that. Because this is like a deep-seated thing that
Yeah.
all humans kind of have this. But I do have an evolutionary reason that we will talk about that I think is more correct than
Okay.
it's like, oh, we had to see Neanderthals and be like, it's a bad guy. Because there are humans with Neanderthal DNA. So like we were interbreeding with them.
Yeah. If I remember from like bioanth, like a lot. Like humans were breeding with them a lot.
Yeah, there's like a significant portion of the population has Neanderthal DNA.
Yeah.
I don't know if I do because I haven't done a DNA test, but it would be interesting to find out. So the first theory, these are all like kind of vague headings for each thing. So we have ambiguity. Some suggest that the sensation of being creeped out by this is just the sense of ambiguity.
Oh.
We see things that almost are, but not quite, and it creates that kind of unpleasant tension of like not being able to figure out exactly what's going on.
Sure.
They are also sometimes this is exploited in horror movies a lot. Movies will incorporate human elements into non-human entities, or they will make humans look unhuman. So like dolls being given like the ability to move, or clowns who are human but different because their faces are painted white, etc. So like Annabelle and It are the two kind of examples of that. When an object appears sufficiently to be non-human, its human features become more endearing to us. But when it gets closer and closer to human again, it's like basically, if you're looking at like a rock that has a face on it, and you're like, that's so look at the cute little rock. But now you're looking at a thing that looks human, but its arm sticks out kind of funny. The non-human traits become more obvious the closer to human it gets. And so it's that ambiguity of like, I don't know what you are. That makes people uncomfortable.
Me.
So then we have mismatched elements as a reason why it's freaking us out, because you expect one thing and then it's not that. So if you're looking at a robot that looks super robot-y, or even a robot with slightly human characteristics, but you can tell is a robot, as long as it has a robot voice, people tend to be okay. And if people are like I am a robot, or people talking with people voices, but a robot with a people voice, like if they put my voice in a robot, that is freaky. So it's that mismatch of like, you're a robot, I expect you to be robot, and then you're no longer a robot, you have human voice.
It's like Ultron.
Yes.
In Avengers Age of Ultron.
Yes.
When Ultron first appears and then it's James Spader's voice, and you're like, I'm very uncomfortable that you sound... I mean, it's a robotic-esque version of James Spader's voice, but it's at its core...
very human.
It's a very human voice, and you're just like... I remember watching it for the first time, and, slight spoiler for people that have not somehow seen that movie. When he first shows up, he's singing a song from Pinocchio, and... That's it's a deep core memory.
Which is also
enough,
Uncanny Valley, because that's a doll.
It's a puppet.
It's
a lot. It's a come to life, almost humanoid puppet.
Right.
But he's singing, the "I've Got No Strings on Me" song from Pinocchio the first time he appears, but he's like not moving. He's not.
It's
Like,
horrible.
oh God.
They
did a great job.
People play on this because they know it exists.
But the first time I ever watched that movie, I was like, I don't know how much more of this. If this is the whole thing, I don't know.
We also saw it in Elio.
We did see it in Elio. And we all went, oh.
And I went, ooh.
It was very
This
good.
is a Disney movie.
It was so good, though. Everyone should go watch Elio. We told you that already. Go watch Elio.
It was done in a silly, goofy way, but it was still that like brief moment of like, oh no.
It was very good.
It's a brief. Is this a horror movie?
Yeah. Did it suddenly become a horror movie?
It was definitely a horror movie for the people that encountered.
Yeah.
For 2
For those
seconds in the
characters.
peak moments of a Disney movie, we were like, has this taken a turn?
Yeah. So another example, or like, not example, theory or cause of this. This is the one that these next two are kind of the ones that I'm like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like an evolutionary response. So several people have suggested that the Uncanny Valley is an evolved response to potential threats of death and disease. So when someone looks sick, right? Like you can look at your friend and be like, are you feeling okay?
Feeling okay.
Like, you don't look so good. And back in the before times, being able to look at your friend and go, oh no, you don't look so good, exile, so we don't all fucking die, was really, really crucial and important. Being able to identify sick people and kind of isolate them or help them, right? If we had the ability or method to help, was super important for the survival of your group.
I guess that would also probably extend to corpses, right? It's like, well, that person is now okay.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that. So this theory is that the Uncanny Valley might be activating the cognitive mechanism that evolved to help humans identify pathogen sources.
Well, especially diseases like leprosy and things like that,
right,
that have a very specific skin condition associated with them. When you are going to look at somebody and go, that's wrong.
And even not that, like, when you got here, I was like, Mackenzie's allergies are bad. Like,
yeah,
because you look fine, but I can tell you're not feeling well just by looking at you because I know you. But also, like, if somebody has a cold, if somebody has the flu, right? These are things that now it's just like, okay, drink fluids. But back when we were exposed to the elements, we couldn't keep ourselves necessarily warm or cool or help a fever. Like, you needed to be able to identify that because it could kill people.
Yeah.
Or even be able to go, Jim has gotten really skinny very quickly. I wonder what that's about, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, maybe he has a parasite that we need to
be worried about
us getting. So this, like, we've identified this because of robots, but it is a thing that has always existed, right? Of this, because horror movies have been playing on this fear for forever. Like, before we had this kind of robotic
Before
thing.
we had, like, the terminology for it.
Yeah. So then there's also this theory about it kind of reminding us of our own mortality a little bit. And so that's where we come along with dead bodies, right? Like, it is this... Our brains have an innate ability to identify when somebody is dead, which is why there's that, like, it goes around all the time of these, like, the Victorians took all of these insane post-mortem photographs. And it's like, while they did take post-mortem photographs, 90% of the pictures in that are just people who are being propped up because they're toddlers. They're not dead. They're toddlers, and they had to stand there for 45 minutes for the picture to take.
Yeah.
And so they had props so the child wouldn't move. And you can look at that picture and go, that's not a dead person, because your brain can inherently identify that.
You
now,
can tell the ones that do have dead people.
You can tell the ones that are dead people.
Yeah.
Because they're not right.
And you look at it and you go, something's not right about that.
Something's not right.
And
There's
so that is a thing in our brains of needing to be able to identify the dead around us, right? It's also why zombies are scary, because they are people, but not quite.
And they don't move right.
But this also, like, this concept of mortality kind of leads to other innate subconscious fears of, like, with androids specifically and robots specifically, the fear of being replaced, being taken, like, being wiped out by the robots. Doppelgangers, like, that's a theme in a couple of the Fallout games. Like, the Institute in Fallout makes, I think they're just called, they're synths. That's what they're called. I was like, I think they're just called androids. No, they're synths. And in one of them, I don't remember which game it is, there's, like, this whole plot line that these people are terrified that people are being replaced by these, like, really, really, really accurate looking synths. And there's a group in the game that your whole thing is, like, going and trying to find people who have been replaced. And one of my favorite characters in that, I don't remember his first name, but his last name is Valentine. He is a synth, but he is a more robot-y looking synth, so he's sympathetic, right? Like, he looks like he's got a robot face, he's got, like, very clearly, like, mechanical bits, but he's a guy, and he's a reporter, and he is doing a lot of this research on, is the Institute replacing people with these synths? And that plays on that fear of, like, what if everyone around me has been replaced by a robot? Which is a very modern fear.
Yeah.
Specifically of robots. Being replaced, changelings, all that kind of stuff, innate.
Yeah.
Been there forever.
I think it's interesting. You are talking about the sympathetic, where, like, we don't have as many issues with, like, robots behaving like robots looking like robots. And I think that's a lot of the reason you mentioned Data from Star Trek, but there's a lot of very robots, the droids in, like, the Star Wars franchise. and nobody has any issues with like C-3PO
No.
or
Because he's just a robot.
or BB-8, R2-D2,
Yep.
all of these that C-3PO is it's a
He's a
guy,
human
it's
shape.
it's a human shape. It's played by a guy in a suit. Like it's
Yeah.
played by a human that moves it very robotically.
Yeah.
But even the ones that are now done digitally because of the way that we've changed like movie making.
Yeah.
Like Alan Tudyk plays one of the really tall robots in one of the newer Star Wars movies.
K3.
Yeah. K3. And so yes, but it's Alan Tudyk, so it doesn't sound like Alan
It doesn't
Tudyk.
sound like a person.
It doesn't sound
sounds
like a
whatever
person,
he
'cause
decided
whatever
to do.
But it's just like it's another one of those kinds of
Yeah.
things where it's very clearly like nobody has an issue with any of the droids in Star Wars because they don't look like people.
They don't look too close to people.
I think one of the things that specifically Star Wars has done to avoid that is none of their mouths move.
No.
Yeah.
None of them have mouths.
Yeah.
Which is very human and upsetting whenever it's wrong.
Right.
Mouths are a big deal.
That is one thing. Where did I put it?
Even like Rosie and the Jetsons.
I was going to bring her up.
All she has is like
She
a
just
little
has that
wiggly.
light.
Yeah,
it's
she has
like
a wiggly line.
that moves. Like it's flat when she's not talking, and then it'll do a little waveform when she is.
Mm-hmm.
And even though she has a face and she has a lot of personality and all of those kinds of things, it's another one of those very sympathetic robot.
Right.
Because we are of an age that we've been exposed to robots or androids or whatever
Right.
you want to call them
Mm-hmm.
in media
Right.
our whole lives.
Right. And it is a thing that, like, in certain movies, they're like, oh, this normal robot-looking robot is evil. It's bad.
Yes.
And so it's like, there are some times where you're like, oh, this bad robot. I still inherently see a robot and I'm like, what a cute little guy.
Yeah.
What a cute little robot. Like
Cute
the
little
movie.
robot.
The movie that specifically I'm thinking of, this movie, I, Robot. And, like, they have, like, a human face on them, but they're still very robotic, and it's, like, blue. Like, they're not human skin-toned
Yeah.
in that movie.
I mean, we can even look at like Megan. Have y'all seen that one?
Ugh,
No.
Yes, I don't like it.
Freaky.
Don't
I haven't seen
like.
the movie. I've seen the ad of it. It's horrible.
They
The
like,
ad is enough. The ad's enough.
you
for
know,
me.
the ad gives you all you need to know about like the Uncanny Valley in that movie because it's
atrocious.
they've made her look like they've made this human actress look plastic like
Yeah, it's atrocious.
and
I hate it.
changed her like proportions
Yeah.
and so has made her head be bigger than it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Not by a lot,
Yeah.
but by enough that you're like, that's
That's wrong.
not right.
Yeah.
And she moves funny at certain times and she has a robotic voice, even though she looks
human.
very human.
Not good.
I don't like it.
She's freaky.
So another like theory of why this hurts our brains is category uncertainty, which to me this kind of goes hand in hand with ambiguity.
Yeah.
But it's like when like humans love to put things in boxes.
Yeah.
It is a thing that we do. Humans categorize things.
We're good at it.
We're good at it. It's almost like our brains like to recognize patterns.
Mm-hmm.
And which we'll talk about for Pareidolia. And when you have pattern recognition and you have this innate category, right? Which even if you aren't someone who's like, oh yeah, I look at people and I put them into a category, you have category of person and you have category of everything else, right? You at least have those two categories in your brain.
Person and not person.
Person and not person. And so when
Person,
you
animal,
look,
plant.
when you are looking at something that elicits person and then suddenly doesn't anymore, that is a cognitive dissonance in your brain that triggers that like, what's happening kind of thing. And that's the thing is a lot of the time, the initial uncanny valley feeling isn't fear. It's just unease.
Mm-hmm.
It's discomfort with the situation. So yeah, it's like you have this pit of your stomach, something isn't right here feeling,
And it's
right?
the same feeling. It's a protective instinct because you
Right.
also feel it. Like we make a lot of jokes about me always being hot for like anxiety or like fear. You know, we lovingly tease me a lot about being overly anxious or already scared going into a situation, but that's like also part of an evolutionary like balance
Right.
to protect yourself. So
Yeah.
that same level of unease with the uncanny valley is an innate protective instinct to say this is not right and you need to be aware that something is wrong.
It's like a yellow light.
Yeah.
You need to
Slow down.
Look at this.
Caution.
Look at this a little closer. Figure out what's going on here.
Yeah. And then the last one is it's a challenge to human identity. So it's the increasing like anthropomorphization of these robots is like a challenge to human distinctiveness and identity at some level. But to me, I don't feel like that one is necessarily super the reason why we feel this way, because that would mean that the only reason that we feel this way is because of robots.
Yeah.
And this has been around for a lot longer than that. We just finally have a name for it. So that one to me I don't love. Because it's like, this isn't a fear of something trying to redefine what human is. This is a fear of, why does that look so close to what I look like?
Yeah.
What are you? Am I going to die?
And
Am
I
I
think
going to get sick?
that's part of the reason, we talked about it. We've talked about it a couple of different times in different like alien contactee discussions and stuff that we've had. But like we talked about the Nordic aliens in Aliens 101, and they look the most human
Right.
out of the aliens that we have said that we've had contactee cases with.
Right.
And that's part of the reason I think that aliens in general, but specifically the very humanoid-looking aliens, freak people out so badly. Because it's like,
but
it
wait,
is
you just
me.
look like a guy. What do you mean you're from space?
You look like a
Yeah.
person, but your eyes are a color that don't work.
The black-eyed kids freak
Yeah.
people out because they're it's
human,
the
but
uncanny
not.
valley. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you look like a kid, you sound like an adult, and your eyes are black. What the fuck is going on, right? And so that's another thing is like, oh, there are all these tropes that play on this specific fear. It's like, oh, in horror movies, a lot of times the monster will be a guy, completely pale white face, black eyes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just not human enough, and is very scary. So now we're going to get into some non-paranormal examples, and then we're going to talk about Pareidolia, and then we'll talk about all the paranormal stuff.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about some specific movies, not like super in-depth. We can talk about each of them if you have like a thing, but I just have some examples that people might know.
Go for it.
So Polar Express is a movie that triggers a lot of people's Uncanny Valley. I don't have that problem with this movie. I adore this movie, but I know a lot of people, because of the way that they did the like mocap animation, freaks people out.
So it didn't used to for me, but now it does.
The only one that I would say in that movie ever gave me that, which is partially the intention of the movie, is the
hobo.
the hobo on the top of the train.
Yeah.
And he's supposed to. That character is supposed
He's
to.
a ghost. He's supposed to freak you out.
He's
Yeah,
a
he's supposed to be
ghost.
freaky.
He's supposed to.
Interestingly enough, the paranormal character.
Yeah, but like other than that, I never really had an issue with the anime. Now,
Like, I can look at it and be like, oh, yeah, that's kind of wonky.
That's kind of
well,
weird.
and a
Yeah.
lot of it, I think, for us, that movie came out when we were little.
young enough that
And it came out in 2001, I believe. The movie did.
I'll check.
But we were young enough that that was the correct movie style at the time
Yeah.
for what we were used
Like, it
to
was
seeing.
fine.
So I think for
I mean, that
people-
was the first time they did that.
right.
Yeah.
So it was like it was a cool new
and
thing.
cool. And
But to me, it just looks like animation. Like,
right. So like for us, it's not Uncanny Valley.
Yeah.
But I think for people that maybe didn't grow up in that era of film when things like that were new and we
Right.
were being exposed to it.
2004.
2004.
So I was like,
So-
I feel like I was like 9. And I was.
But like I think that's
Yeah.
part of the reason that happens with people, especially
Now.
people that are adults now that didn't watch that movie as a kid for
Right.
whatever reason, and they're like, "That's not right," and it's like, no, that was just the animation style. Because you could say that about all kinds of older films and stuff like that, where you look at it and you're like, why did they make that choice?
Yeah. That one was kind of a pioneer where they were like, oh, we're going to use motion capture of the actual actors to then animate from. So it's like CGI animation of motion capture, which is really cool. And
Yeah.
then they use that a lot later. They just got better at it, so it looks a little bit less wonky. Then we have, of course, I would be remiss if I didn't mention Cats, the movie.
Yes.
Not the stage musical. The stage musical doesn't elicit the uncanny valley in people.
No.
The movie does, because what the fuck is Cats, the movie?
I've still not watched it.
I haven't either, and
I
I
don't
won't.
think I will.
I
Just
love
the-
Cats,
just
the musical.
The trailer is
I will
It's
not watch that
upsetting.
movie.
because they CGI'd weird cats onto people.
I can't
I
believe they
don't
did
like
that to
it.
Judi Dench.
Yeah.
Because Cats the
Anyway.
musical also does not the way that
No.
you do the
They're beautiful.
the makeup and
Yeah.
costuming for Cats the
It's
musical
so good.
It's so
pretty.
good. It's
They
the
could have done that for the movie.
There's a reason that has won Tonys for costuming,
Or
and
they could have just done fucking
A musical
CGI
movie.
actual cats.
Or just
Just-
cartoon animation.
That's what I mean. Like, they could have animated cats,
Mm.
like actual cat felines, and had the famous people voice them.
Yeah.
Anyway, Cats is Uncanny Valley and also bad.
Bad
Beowulf. I don't know if you guys have watched the Beowulf movie
No.
that
I-
has.
I know which one you're talking
fuck,
about.
what is her name?
The newer one,
The one that has the actress who plays Maleficent, whose name I can't remember.
Angelina Jolie.
Angelina Jolie. She plays Grendel's mother.
Okay.
It is fucking free. Beowulf is scarier than Grendel in that,
Ooh.
because of how like Uncanny Valley freaky the animation of it is.
That's
Because it's like
crazy.
CG and like kind of not. It's very odd. And then I listed this in my notes specifically, that one scene in the 5th Pirates of the Caribbean movie where they use CGI to age Jack Sparrow down to like a teenager. Johnny Depp hasn't aged since he was 20. Just use his same face. I don't know why they did that. It's atrocious.
I don't like it.
It's so bad. I saw that, and I love Pirates of... I unironically, with my whole heart, love every single Pirates of the Caribbean movie, including that one, which is like notoriously not a good film. And at that part, I went, what are you doing, Disney? Why did you make this
happened?
choice? He looks young enough. Just shave him. Take his beard off. Cut his hair short.
Shave him.
So that's what I've got for like movies. Do y'all have any movies that you can think of that have a really bad one off the top of your head that you want to talk about?
I think I
Not-
got mine.
not
Like
that-
Polar Express is the notorious one.
Not that I haven't already brought up, because like
Okay.
again we talked about Megan. I mean,
the
And I was
Hereditary?
specifically talking about like not horror movies.
okay,
Because it's like super common in horror to do it on purpose.
right.
These are ones that it's just like, oh
It's
no,
on
accidentally
accidentally they went, "Ooh."
they have elicited this response.
I already brought the ones up because I think even like Age of Ultron, they're
Yeah.
not necessarily intentionally.
Yeah, no, they
trying
didn't do it
to
on purpose.
that.
It was just like it's a robot.
It's a robot, and they're
Yeah.
trying to do it from a robot thing. But for me, I was like, I
Yeah.
am not pleased with this.
So then I have
For me,
Yeah.
this is a thing for me specifically. Claymation. Claymation
yeah.
does it for me.
You don't like claymation. We have
It
talked about that.
it triggers that uncanny valley of I don't like
Which
that.
is
It's moving
hilarious.
wrong.
Because I
Yeah.
love
'Cause
claymation and stop motion.
I
I
love
can see it though.
I love the artistry of it.
Yeah.
I just can't watch it.
That's fair.
It makes me upset.
Yeah. That's not an uncommon
Right.
thing either. People are like, I don't like the way that moves.
Mm,
So yeah, like that makes sense.
yeah.
I mean, I disagree with you. I mean, I don't disagree with you. Like, I just like claymation, but I can
Yeah,
understand
which
why
is
you don't.
valid. Like
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
Like I love to like watch the behind the scenes of a claymation.
But not the actual movie.
I can't watch the movie.
That's so funny to me. So then I have video games, and I didn't list any specific ones, but I did put like most cutscenes in game post 2015, but pre 2020, where we were getting like really weird with like trying to get super realistic with
Yeah.
like what the animation looked like, but they don't have like movie studio budget, so
Yeah.
it's a little funky. Like there are a couple of scenes, and even like in gameplay, there's some stuff that is like bodies don't move that way.
Oh,
Yes, that's wrong.
this is going to be very niche, and I don't know if either one of you played it. The not Lego Harry Potter video game that came out in like the early 2000s. It's very.
Was it for computer or something else?
I don't remember.
Okay, because I had all of the Harry Potter computer games. Because
I think it may have been a PlayStation game.
No, I didn't have it.
Because I remember playing it, and the animation is done in such a way
It's
where
just bad.
it's like they tried to do the stuff they tried to pull from stuff from the movie to make it look realistic, but then they didn't have the ability to do the same very
It's like early 2000s animation, so it's not great.
It's just rough.
But
and
like
they don't move, like they glitch out, they don't move quite right. Or like a Sims where they end up in the wall and you're like,
that doesn't elicit the Uncanny Valley for me. That's just a funny glitch.
Yeah.
Like to me,
Yeah.
that's not something that's too human. That's just like, haha, the game broke.
Haha,
But like
broken.
specifically this like era where it's like, oh, we're trying to get like more and more cinematic with what's happening in video games, and we're getting closer and closer. Like now in video games, I don't have this happen to me a ton anymore. It's more just like funny glitches.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, the hat that I put on Gale in Baldur's Gate is somehow on his neck in this cutscene because the game fucked up, or whatever. Or like, all of the characters' clothes are gone in this cutscene for no reason.
Oops.
That kind of stuff. But like that era of 2015 to 2020, I'd maybe even push it back to 2010 to 2020, that like 10-year period in video games where it was like, we're gonna make the coolest cutscenes, and you're like, why is his arm moving that way? And it's not like a glitchy thing. It's just like like when they're gesturing and you're like, people don't do that.
Yeah. It's like wrong, wrong. Disney's A Christmas Carol.
oh, the remake
With Jim Carrey?
Yeah. I had nightmares about that movie.
I loved that movie.
Because it was another mocap movie.
Yeah.
And it was...
The only part of that
Just
movie that
wrong
freaked me out
enough.
was I did not like the Christmas future.
Yep. I
the
hated
flying
that.
Christmas future scene.
No, that's present. Present is the one that like you're in the room and it flies.
No. When he's pulling Scrooge along, when Scrooge is flying.
That's past.
Okay.
The future is the
Future is the, like...
death horse.
Oh, the scary horse thing. Yes.
Yeah. That's the one that scared me, is because it's like, oh, in every other version, death just kind of ominously, or death, Christmas yet to come, just kind of vaguely points. In this one, it's like, no, I'm chasing you to the next scene.
Yeah.
Like, that was scary to me, but I didn't get Uncanny Valley from that one.
I
get it, though, because it's the same thing as, like, Polar Express.
Yeah. Like, I didn't like the way that fucking Scrooge's mouth moved the entire movie, and I was like, that's bad, wrong.
I think the reason why that one didn't bother me is because he looked so cartoony anyway.
Mm-hmm.
That I was like, his mouth can do whatever it wants. No one looks like that. And then I've got, these are just categories. I'm not going to talk about specific ones. Robots, dolls, and specifically ventriloquist dummies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, are all ones that do that, right? Because a ventriloquist dummy is like, and they're all used in horror movies. So obviously they already do this thing. Now we're going to talk about pareidolia, and then we'll talk about everything all as one thing. So, pareidolia is a brain phenomenon in which a person sees or hears something significant in a random image or pattern. Pareidolia is what causes people to see faces in inanimate objects, such as the image of the Virgin Mary in a grilled cheese or the man in the moon. Pareidolia is a type of apophenia, which is a more generalized term for seeing patterns in random data.
Okay.
So that would not necessarily be like seeing it in an image. That would be like looking at a string of numbers and seeing a year in it. That's just like, it's 37 numbers and you see 2013 and you're like, oh my God, 2013, that's the year I graduated high school.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's a random string of data. It doesn't have any significance. So pareidolia comes from the Greek words para, meaning beside, next to, or other, and eidolon, meaning image or form. So it's like adjacent form or kind of thing. It's often associated with finding or assigning human characteristics in nature, but it's also the perception of any object in any medium having an image that you see in it. It doesn't have to be human. So like looking at the clouds and seeing a unicorn. It can also include hearing sounds that only appear to be there. Like when you're listening to like a stream and you hear people or you hear music in that sound, that's called auditory pareidolia. So you can see why this is probably really related to the paranormal.
Yeah.
So this next bit is from, I didn't write down, it's from a Johns Hopkins article that I read about pareidolia. So Susan Magsamen, who's the executive director of the International Arts and Mind Lab, which
That's
is
cool.
a great name, at the Pedersen Brain Science Institute, says that though neuroscientists have known about pareidolia for a time, it remains a little understood and under-researched neurological phenomenon. So we don't know why the Uncanny Valley happens. We don't really know why our brains do this.
Mm-hmm.
In 2023, Magsamen's team conducted a study to measure hallucination proneness across population.
Ooh.
Using a signal detection pareidolia test developed by Hopkins researchers. The study found that people more prone to hallucination tend to see faces more often and tend to expect to see faces after seeing one. So, like, also, hallucination is not inherently a bad thing unless it is affecting your life, right? Like, apparently not everyone, occasionally is just like, what did I just see out of the corner of my eye? And it was nothing, right?
It's like you see, as soon as you turn the lights off in your room, you feel like you see a bug, like a giant, like, cockroach.
Yeah, like something crazy.
On the wall.
Right. It's and it's just like the way that your
and it's
eyes
just
are
the way
reacting.
the eyes
to
are
things.
reacting.
So this work served as further evidence that some are better than others at discerning patterns, indicating that there is a pareidolic scale. So everyone can do this. Everyone sees patterns in things, but there is a scale of people who like super quickly identify patterns versus people who have to like really look at something to see whatever in it, right? And then Magnuson said, one thing what we want to find out is if we can enhance or teach this ability to get people to start to look for patterns and what impact that might have on creativity. Cognitive scientists at Homewood, like Ed Connor, are conducting neurobiological research into pareidolia to understand the brain mechanisms behind it. So we've got like Magnuson's team is looking at this from a psychological standpoint, and this other is looking at it from a like neurobiology, like what is your brain actually doing, which are two different things. So Connor says, I think the brain is so carefully wired to process face information specifically that it's evoked into play as soon as anything even vaguely face-shaped is present. His lab is conducting experiments using macaques because they have really, really similar cognition to what we have, to measure how neural activity in brain changes at the moment of what is called the pareidolic transition, where you are seeing something and then it becomes a face. Like they're specifically looking at this in regards to seeing faces. Again, pareidolia can be in response to, can be in reference to other shapes. They're specifically doing like recognizing faces and stuff where there aren't. To study that, this is another quote from him, neuroscientists look for situations that are right on the cusp between seeing something and not really being consciously aware of it. What is the extra add-on in the brain that produces that aha moment of someone seeing a face in there? And then coincidentally, what changes in all that processing such that you will always see that again immediately? Right? So like once you've recognized that your car has a face in the headlights and bumper, every time you see it, you go, and it's smiling at me. Look at the face. Or like I had one, it was in a different house. In the texture on my wall by my bed, there was a little guy skiing. And every time I would roll over, I'd be like, there he is skiing down that hill.
I had a boo-boo happen once. I didn't drop. A wood burner tool rolled off of a table and fell onto my leg and burned me. And the way that it fell is it kind of bounced, and then rolled across my leg.
A smiley face.
I had a little, like, kind of upside-down, weird-looking smiley face.
Chris has one.
On my leg.
Yep.
And so...
Chris has kind of a...
So for a while, whenever I was healing, and when that boo-boo was still healing, and I was having to, like... Because of where I was wearing shorts, I was having to be really careful about like it rubbing and as it was healing. And for a while I had a scar. It's gone now.
Yeah.
But for a while, it burned well enough that I had a pretty good looking. You could see it pretty clearly because I'm pale as fuck.
Yeah.
And so I was working at camp, and so I had little girls going, "Why do you have a smiley face on your?"
You have a smiley face on your
And I'm like, "Don't don't touch these kinds of tools.
Don't drop wood burners. So I have a bunch of like really kind of not super duper specific, but like different kinds of seeing patterns and things. So there's a thing called a mimetolith,
Ooh.
which is a pattern created on rocks.
Oh,
that
it's like
mimics a recognizable form. So mimic, lithic, mimetolith. So, and that's obviously like completely random, right? But like you look at a rock and you go, the bumps on that rock kind of look like a face.
Yeah, or like the coloration striations. You're like, that
Yeah.
makes like a weird
Yeah.
shape of some kind. It looks like a house or
Yeah.
whatever.
So like some really specific ones are the face on Mars, which is a rock formation that's just like
Yes.
a weird
Yeah.
hill, but it looks fully like a face.
Yeah.
And then there's also some that are like cliff, like the edge of a cliff looking like a profile of a face or a profile of an animal. Or
I've seen multiple of those.
yeah, like I've seen one that's like, oh, that looks like a snake,
Yeah.
And it like, and then like the name,
and it's
of
not
that,
carved.
and that like the name of that place came from because that rock formation
Looks like a snake. Yeah.
or looks like a
It's like Snake Canyon because it looks like a snake.
looks like a snake, or it's like I don't know, lion rock or whatever, because it
Yeah.
looks kind of like the side profile of a lion with a mane, or
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Not uncommon.
Yeah. So that's like rocks, basically. Then we have clouds. Seeing pictures in clouds. That's like a pastime. People lay on the field, look up, point out shapes in clouds. That's like totally normal. I love doing that. I love looking
It's
at
so
a cloud.
fun.
Love looking at a cloud and going, that looks like a guy on a bicycle going over a hill, and there's also a dragon. Like, it's never something super simple. She's like, I have to make every edge of this make sense. Then we have, Chris actually talks about this in Aliens 101. The Mars canals is pareidolia.
Yeah.
Because they weren't actually canals. They were just these, like, straight lines that were being seen. The new images that were taken with a better telescope made the lines go away. So it's like, oh, completely pareidolia, and also a hallucination. There weren't actually lines there.
I mean, it could have been a physical something on his telescope.
On his
even.
lens, yeah. So then we have the moon, surface of the moon. There's people see all kinds of stuff.
The man in the
moon.
moon.
There's the man in the moon. There's the moon rabbit that is seen in East Asian cultures and Indigenous American cultures. They see a rabbit on the moon.
That's what I saw for the longest time.
Yeah, and then there's a figure carrying something on their back, which is in old Germanic tradition. There's like a whole bunch of different shit. If you look at the moon, you're like, there's something there, and it's just moon craters. Kind of an intentional pareidolia is Rorschach inkblot tests, right? Where it's like, this is just kind of a blob, and we're going to see what you see in it, and we're going to use that to tell something about you.
Yeah.
Those are called projective tests. The Rorschachs are not the only version of this, but there's a bunch of different things where it's like you show somebody something that is vague and not really a thing, and from that you can get what they tell you it looks like. You can get something about how their brain is working. Because you see them all the time where it's like, what did you see first, a vase or two people's faces? And it tells you like what your brain is thinking about. We have some examples on money. So in 1954, the Canadian landscape Canadian dollar had a picture of Queen Elizabeth on it that in the pattern of her hair, it looked like there was a demon. And that dollar has come to be known as the Devil's Head dollar. There's also, this one is a little bit of a stretch, but I wanted to talk about it. Shout out to my dead brother. There's a way that you can fold a $20 bill to make it look like the White House is the Twin Towers on fire.
Oh, yeah.
And
Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah, my brother showed that to me one time, and I was like, "Oh, what does it mean?" But that's like it's the White House with trees, so it's like it's pareidolia. It's not that. We have some references to pareidolia in literature. The reason I'm specifically bringing this up is because they talk about it in Hamlet. When he's trying to prove that he's crazy to Polonius, Ophelia, and Laertes' father, Hamlet says, "Do you see yonder cloud that's almost in the shape of a camel?" Polonius says, "By the mass, and 'tis like a camel indeed." Hamlet says, "Methinks it is a weasel." Polonius says, "It is backed like a weasel." Hamlet, "Or a whale." Polonius, "Very like a whale." Like, Hamlet's just trying to be like, it's all these different things because I'm crazy. Tee-hee-hee, I'm seeing something crazy in the clouds. And Polonius is just agreeing because Polonius is a schlub and I hate him.
Yeah, it could be.
That's a literature example. And then it's used often in art on purpose. People will put faces in art that is like, is there a face there? And it's like, yeah, they put that there on purpose.
Symbology.
Yeah. And it is in a lot of Renaissance art specifically. This is Leonardo da Vinci's writing, talking about pareidolia as a device for painters to use. If you look at any walls spotted with various stains or with a mixture of different kinds of stones, if you are about to invent some scene, you will be able to see in it a resemblance to various different landscapes adorned with mountains, rivers, rocks, trees, plains, wide valleys, and various groups of hills. You will also be able to see divers, combats, and figures in a quick movement, and strange expressions of faces, an outlandish costume, and an infinite number of things which you can then reduce into separate and well-conceived forms. So he's like, if you're ever just staring at a wall and see a bunch of stuff, do that. Do that thing. There's a specific painting that is called The Jurist by Giuseppe Arcimboldo from 1566. It's a guy. It's just like a portrait of a guy. But if you look closely at it, his face is actually a collection of fish and poultry, and his body is a stack of books dressed in a coat.
Oh.
Like, it's not a guy.
Yeah.
So then we have, I'm not going to talk about this for a super long time, but I am going to bring it up because it needs to be brought up. People see Jesus in toast a lot.
And Doritos.
And
Cheetos.
Doritos and things. So it's like there have been lots of instances of various different religious figures appearing in things, right? There's the grilled cheese sandwich. Like, that is a thing. The grilled cheese sandwich with the face of Virgin Mary. Like, that's a known one. There's also during the most recent volcanic eruptions in Hawaii, there were some pictures that came out that looked like a woman dancing in the smoke. And they were saying that that was the goddess Pele of the volcano. Which was really fucking cool.
Yeah,
they were like, she's dancing. And then people often see, like, one is during the 9/11 attacks, people reportedly saw the face of Satan in the smoke billowing out of the World Trade Centers. Satan. Like, that happens quite frequently. And it also is just like, oh, I saw a face, a bad thing happened. It was Satan. Or, oh, I saw a face in my toast, I'm going to take this as a sign from
God.
Whatever God I believe in. And that happens all the time. So it's a very common one. All right. It's time to talk about ghosts. So these are both, like, obviously really scientific things. But we have talked about both of these specifically in relation to the field of ghost investigation. That's kind of what I want to focus on. Like, we can talk about UFO stuff too, because it applies to that. But I want to talk specifically about, like, ghosts, because these are both things that are brought up by skeptics as a way to, like, debunk ghost stuff.
Yeah.
Without any other, like, word. It's like, oh, it's just pareidolia. There's not actually anything there. You're just making a pattern out of nothing. And same thing with the Uncanny Valley of, like, oh, you just saw a person and they had something weird going on that triggered the Uncanny Valley. It wasn't actually a ghost kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Because ghosts will trigger that in you too, right? Like, if you see somebody that isn't quite right, your brain goes, and that's going to happen when you see a ghost or a full, like, apparition, I should say. A mist isn't going to necessarily trigger the Uncanny Valley. It's just going to make you go, what is that? But it also lets us look at pictures specifically with a more evaluatory, a more keen eye, because we know that this thing exists, right? Like the three of us are going to look at pictures and go, that's not a face, that's a smudge on that window. Like specifically when we went on the ghost hunt or the ghost tour and we had that picture that flipped upside down on my phone, me and you were looking at one window and we were like, it looks like there's something in that window. And then we like upped the contrast and we like upped the brightness and we like crazy edited this photo to try and see what it was. And we were like, that window's just dirty.
Yep.
Like we were like, oh, the window's just dirty.
It's smudgy.
So like we are able to use the knowledge of this thing as a way to look at things and have that little bit of like, okay, but what else could it be? How are we seeing patterns in this? What are we misidentifying? It's also why we're like super skeptical of orbs, is because of that need to see patterns that people have. And it's like, that could be anything.
Could be a bug.
Could be a bug. Probably a bug.
Dust.
Could be dust. And so it is a tool as well as we need to be aware of it in ourselves kind of thing.
Well, it's especially both the uncanny valley is good for when you do, like when you're when you're already in a heightened environment where you're like prepped for weird shit to happen.
Yeah.
Because then we've talked about shadow figures and stuff before, and some shadow figures move in a very human, like a very normal humanoid way, like the one that Sarah saw at the ranch.
And it also still triggered that uncanny valley, because why is it shadow?
Right. But okay, I'll tell you one that I have in this room all the time. The way that the light comes in the windows, you guys can't see this, but the other two can. From my angle, there's the way that the light comes in from the upstairs living room. It looks like there is a person standing directly on the other side of the door, and I'm seeing the shadow of their feet coming in from under the door. And I literally every time almost have somebody, like, there's part of me that wants to make you go stand in that spot so I can see the difference from somebody actually standing in that spot to what I see because of the way the light moves in the house.
And that's pareidolia,
but
because you're seeing a pattern.
But like my brain can't unsee it. And so I have this then innate anxiety that we're going to open the door after an episode is over and there's going to be a man there.
Yeah.
Like, because the way the size that I'm seeing is bigger than all of our feet are, right? Like, so it would be like Harrison, except not Harrison, is just awkwardly
from the chair that's in front of the window.
Maybe.
I'm just
anyway.
But like, that's one that I see, and I'm in this house a lot.
Yeah, and again, the thing with pareidolia, especially if it's something that your brain can do, like if you're like, oh, I see whatever, right? And you are more primed to make the connection of face or human or that kind of thing. You don't unsee it. Once you've made that connection, it's there forever. And like I had that problem at Veilguard for everyone listening many months ago. For us,
not
2 weeks ago. At the LARP that we work at, the cabin that we sleep in is an older cabin.
We scared ourselves shitless.
Yeah, so the cabin that we sleep in is an older cabin. The door doesn't like have a seal all the way around it anymore. It's ancient. I sleep on a top bunk, and my top bunk is directly in line with the door. And the first night that we were in there, when we turned the lights off, we always make Tim turn the lights off. Tim goes, turns the lights off.
Tim is a very tall man.
I can see him. Hi, Tim. You listen. Hi, bud. Tim like walks back to bed and goes and lays down. And so I remember like where his head is at in the tallness of the room, right? Many hours later, an alarm goes off from my stopwatch.
It wakes all of us up.
It was haunted. The stopwatch decided to become haunted at this event. And
we haunted our own room.
So I sit up and I see what looks like Tim. I see what looks like the shadow of a person that was about the height of what Tim was like when he was by my bed. And so I went, oh, Tim's turning it off. And then I lay back down and I roll over and Tim is in the bed on the floor next to my bed. And I went, uh-oh, that's not Tim. So then I sit back up and I still see that shadow, and I'm like, what the fuck? So then I turn my stopwatch off. Actually, I went to turn my stopwatch off, and it turned itself off, which is even worse. And then I proceeded to freak myself out even further by seeing a shirt across the room surrounded, like a bright white shirt surrounded by darker clothes that looked like a person, because it's a shirt, standing on the other side of the room. And once I saw that, I couldn't unsee it, right? Both of those two things. The shadow never moved, the shirt never moved, but both of those things, I was like, there's two people in this room. The shadow turned out to be the porch light would come through, like, around the edge of the door, except in one corner, and the way that darkness was, it looked like a shadow. Like, it looked like a person's head. And so I scared the bejesus out of myself with that. And every time I looked at it after having seen it, I was like, that's a guy. I know it wasn't a guy.
Right.
But my brain still is like, that's what that pattern is. It's guy. And that's pareidolia. That's what pareidolia does to your brain. Is it's like, nope, you've seen this. It is that forever.
Yeah.
And it can be that for things that aren't scary too. Like, you can be in a place and be like, oh, the way that this is arranged looks like a little smiley face. And every time you see it, you're like, oh, there's a little smiley face. I know, smiley face. Like my knee surgery scars, I just have two little dots. But the shape of my knee, I'm like, I have two happy faces. And they're always going to look like that to me. So that's like how pareidolia relates to the paranormal. Then we have specifically the Uncanny Valley, which the Uncanny Valley is one of those things that I think... So pareidolia is usually used to excuse the paranormal, right? It's like, oh, that wasn't whatever you thought it was. It was you seeing something that your brain just kind of made a connection. Like, there's a lot of examples of pictures that go around all the time that I'm like, that's not anything. Like, that's... Like, there's one that was from a Ghost Adventures episode where they took... Which they actually debunked in the episode.
Yeah, they
debunked it as
job.
pareidolia in the episode. But it was like a picture that was taken of a room from a staircase, and at the back of that room there was a mirror, and in the mirror it looked like there was a little girl standing in the room that when you looked at the room you couldn't see, and it was like, that is a smudge on the mirror and the pattern of the carpet combining to make it look like a little girl standing there.
Like, while I don't agree with everything Ghost Adventures does,
right, that one was one that I was like, wow.
They are good at going through the motion, like at making sure that whatever they are saying is evidence, they have done all of the things that they can do to say that it is what they're saying.
And that was one that was like, they were given that picture by the location. The location was like, look at this ghost picture, and they were like, this is the carpet. This is a picture of your carpet and a smudge on your dirty mirror.
Hate to break it to you.
And it's like, that's crazy. I'm proud of them for actually debunking that.
Yeah.
But the Uncanny Valley, on the flip side of that, I feel like is something that more primes us to have scarier paranormal experiences, right? Because we have this innate ability, not even ability, this innate thing in our bodies that when we see something that isn't quite human, it freaks our bodies out and it puts us in that state of unease. And so when we are priming ourselves to go into an experience where we are trying to see something or hear something that technically isn't human anymore but once was, right? If we're just trying to contact regular ass dead people spirits, we're already triggering that Uncanny Valley response in ourselves, which is why we have that like latent underlying fear that we have going into those experiences. Right. Because even listening to the spirit box, like, that's a human voice, but it doesn't sound right. But yeah, it does, like, again, when you're doing paranormal investigation, specifically ghost investigations, because everything we cover is paranormal.
Or it's like,
because remember, what does paranormal mean? Next to, beside, other than, normal, which includes UFOs and Bigfoot and all cryptids. I don't know why I just said Bigfoot.
But it's like when people are like, oh, I see somebody peeking around the door.
Right. Like, that is Uncanny Valley. It's I wouldn't even call, like, people are like, shadow figures are pareidolia. And I'm like, I don't think they're pareidolia.
No, they're Uncanny Valley.
I'm not seeing something that isn't there. I'm not seeing a pattern that isn't actually there.
I'm seeing
something that is there, and it's eliciting fear in my tummy because it shouldn't look like that.
Yeah.
Especially the one we talked about. I think it was with one of the haunted locations where it was like spidery. Waverly Hills, where it's like a very spidery creature thing, and you're like, that's wrong.
Yeah.
That's wrong, and that shouldn't move like that.
Right.
Shadows don't move like that.
Yeah, and again, it's like, oh, I am going to this place. We talk a lot about intention setting.
Yeah.
And when you are going into a paranormal investigation, you are setting the intention of seeing, hearing, experiencing something that is not normal, that is going to be human but not quite, that is going to feel other and different, and that innately triggers this uncanny valley experience, because the whole point of that topic of the valley is it is just close enough to human but not quite to fill you with unease. And I think that ghosts of any kind, seeing them, hearing them, feeling them, sensing them, is going to trigger that, because like feeling like somebody's behind you, if you turn around or somebody is in the room with you, you're like, oh, that's so and so, right? And so that sensation is a human sensation. The uncanny valley is triggered when that feeling is human but not quite, because you're alone. Or you can see everybody, so there's no one behind you. I think that falls into this category still of uncanny valley. And then shadow figures, right? Like, oh, it's peeking. It's moving how I expect it to move, but it's just a shadow.
Well, or it's like we talked about with the Hat Man, which is
that guy.
Which is a hallucination. We talked about like that kind of hallucinatory. It's induced by some other thing, but you talked about your pile of laundry that turned into a pirate man, right? Like
right, which is both Pareidolia and the uncanny valley.
Right, but like we've talked about if you were to go back through our listing of our master list of episodes, and you were to go back through a bunch of the things that we've talked about, there's a lot of intersection between the stuff we're talking about right now and topics we've talked about previously, or experiences we've talked about previously.
Why I wanted to talk about it.
Chris bringing up earlier the Fresno night crawlers. It's because they move
bad.
Like they move very humanoid.
But they're just legs.
And if you wanted to, like, that's why I think we talked about it then, but like people try to excuse it as people on stilts or people in a costume, because they move almost human, and then you're looking closer at them and you're like, but they can't be that.
You know what else they also specifically look like to me that is also kind of uncanny valley? It looks like when someone makes a video that they try to make look like it's going forwards when they reverse it. Yeah. Like they look like they were walking backwards, and then you reverse the footage so it looks like they were walking forwards, because when
their knees are the backwards direction.
When you walk, well, they're not backwards, but like they do when you walk backwards, your legs move differently than when you walk forwards. Like when you're walking backwards, you're going to be walking like onto your toes. Your heels aren't going to strike first, etc. And those videos of people being like, I'm going to make the coolest video when it's reversed. Watching the reversed video every time gives me the fucking uncanny valley. I'm like, people don't move like that.
Yeah.
People don't move like that when they're walking forwards. And that's what the Fresno Nightcrawlers, like that part of it, I get. Because I'm like, it looks like this video is being played in reverse. I can't explain exactly what about how their legs move, or their bodies, because they're only legs.
They're only legs.
I can't explain exactly about what the motion is. That I'm like, it looks like they were walking, stepping backwards like that, and then they played the video the other direction, so it looked like they were walking forwards across the yard. Anyway, uncanny valley. That's spooky.
Spooky.
Do you guys have anything else that's like paranormal that fits in either of these things?
I don't think so. I think we've covered it all.
We've hit all of the high points.
Hit all the things.
I'm sure we'll come up with more as we do more investigations and we bring evidence forward. But I think right now we've hit all the things we can really touch on.
And we talk specifically about Pareidolia a lot. And I know we've mentioned the uncanny valley, so I wanted to just kind of like put a primer out there of like, hey, this is what these words mean in general, and then this is how they relate to what we talk about specifically. So I think that's everything that you need to know. Did you guys learn anything?
I learned a lot.
Yeah, I learned a whole
Your
lot.
science was fantastic. Like, it's fun to know that people look into why our brains do what they do, both from an evolutionary perspective and from a just like brains are weird.
Yeah.
Electrified meat soup is just an odd.
Yeah.
Brains do weird shit, right?
Brains
like,
do weird shit.
I think it was great, and I
Yeah.
know some people may not enjoy the technicality as much of some of these episodes, but I think it's a really great. I think it's important to realize that the weird is not the weird is weird, but a lot of times there is science behind why things are weird, and it's not just people talking out of their ass about like why people are experiencing something.
Yeah. What about you?
I thought it was super interesting to learn that at least the term and the research started going into Uncanny Valley with robots.
Yeah.
I did not realize that it was a robotics
Yep.
conundrum.
Yeah, that's where it comes from. I mean, that's where the words come from.
That's where the words come from, and that's the jumping off point for
Yeah.
the research, because obviously it is something more deep-seated than just like robot shit.
Yeah.
So I thought it was really interesting.
Yay. I think that's everything you need to know about kind of like the science behind the Uncanny Valley and Pareidolia, at least for now. Again, if we come up with anything else in the evidence in the future, we'll keep talking about it. But I think this is a good like starter for those of you who didn't know what any of those words mean. Now you know. It's the first episode of the day for us.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only episode of the day for you. But we're going to do that thing that we do where we tell you to click all the buttons on things. So make sure you rate, review, subscribe where you listen to podcasts. Go on YouTube. Make sure you're following us wherever you listen to podcasts. Comment on things. On YouTube, give the video a like. Leave a comment. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube. And if you click the little bell, it'll notify you whenever we post a video. If you don't click the bell, it may not tell you until 3 days later.
Yeah.
Ask me how I know. I didn't click the bell, and on my personal Gmail, and now anytime I get a notification, I'm like, I posted that video on Thursday. I don't know why it's just now telling me about it. Join our Discord. It's a fun little community where you can chit-chat about theories, talk about stuff. You can tell us about things that you've seen or that you're interested in, or tell us about topics you want us to cover. And we would love that because we love getting like feedback from what you guys want to hear about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we like talking about what we like talking about, but we want to be talking about what you want to hear about.
And if you're looking for where to join our Discord, it is in our link tree. It is also, if you go to either of our social media pages, Instagram or Facebook, there's a post somewhere in our content that has the direct like link and everything in the post.
I think the link tree is linked in the TikTok bio, but I'm not 100% sure.
It should be, if you're listening on YouTube, the link tree should be linked.
It is in the episode description.
It's in the episode description. You should be able to find our link tree just about anywhere. It's in the bio of our Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, and it's linked in all of the episode descriptions.
Yeah. Of every episode. It's on YouTube and Spotify.
And that is going to be the most up-to-date like ways to find our stuff.
Follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, like us on Facebook, comment on all those places, share it with your friends. Follow us on TikTok. We post outtakes on TikTok, and we post outtakes on Instagram and Facebook. We also post them on YouTube Shorts. We're a little behind. I mean, by the time you're hearing this, we'll definitely be on schedule, and they'll definitely be coming out all the time. Right now, September 28th,
we got a little behind.
We're a little behind because you can only post 10 videos at a time to YouTube. So I got a little behind, but that's okay. Anyway, I think that's everything you need to know. Have a good day. We'll see you in a week.
Thanks for listening.
This podcast is for weirdos.
Are you a weirdo?
Thursdays are for the phenomena.